I have a declaration to make, and my declaration is this. I declare that this is the perfect time of year to be outdoors. And by outdoors, I mean outside in a place that has not been encroached by concrete and steel. Out in nature, near trees, near blooming flowers, near animals singing, as you see by my background. Grass over here, leaves over here, petals over here. And what you can't see by watching this video is the fragrance. I'm not talking about something that's been prepackaged or something that is irritating to your senses. I'm talking about something that man cannot replicate in a laboratory, because the smell, the ethereal smell, the fragrance that is emanating through every pore of the earth and of the trees and of the leaves is one that is not able to be created in a lab. Not only that, but if you are somebody who spends a lot of time indoors, which probably is about 90% of the population nowadays, with technology being at the forefront of everything, I encourage you, I implore you, that take this opportunity. It doesn't last very long, especially when the cherry blossoms are blooming, especially when the weather right now is optimal for walking longer distances, but also shorter distances if that is your cup of tea. Being outdoors, it enables you to reconnect with nature. If given the opportunity, if you find a stream and it's clean enough for you to drink out of, I encourage you to drink out of it. You will actually realize that that water coming from that stream has a taste. I'm not talking about water that's coming from the back of a factory, but I'm talking about a cold spring that is just running down river. It has a taste to it. I'm not talking about fluoride, I'm talking about an actual taste. Some people might even say that it tastes sweet. Yes, water can have a taste. There are a lot of things that are in the water out in nature that are not in the water coming from your pipes. Well, unfortunately, this time of year doesn't last long. But fortunately, you can make it part of your day, every single day, to spend a little bit of time indoors. Maybe your breaks, instead of going and talking to your coworkers or going to pay the bills, you can realize that, you know what, I'm going to spend a little more time outdoors, even if it's just for a little while. And the smell is enough for you to not want to go back inside. It's not pine sol that you're smelling, you smell an actual pine. You are not smelling the fragrance of roses that you might use to make yourself more attractive to the opposite sex. No, it's the actual rose that you are smelling. And another reason you might want to spend more time inside is good to connect with the grass. What I'm talking about, I'm not talking about that grass that you burn up and that just became legal and you put up to your lips and you inhale, unless you were a former president. What I am talking about is the ability to put your feet down on soil and connect with everything around you. And if you don't feel a difference, then you are not doing it right. What I'm saying is, I'm trying to keep my volume down because I do believe in the right to make videos, but also believe in the right for people that are also enjoying nature to have the opportunity to do that. That's why my music is not blasting. That's why I am not smoking near anyone. That's why I am not with a dog barking in someone's ear or running up to people trying to taste their food. So you might notice most of the time when you're wearing shoes, you could get shoes that are very comfortable, but they're not necessarily what you will encounter if you have your feet bare on the ground, on the soil under you. Yes, you can get pillow top memory foam sneakers, but they don't match the connection that you have with the earth growing around you, the soil, with your feet being placed on the ground. Now, another thing you're going to notice, especially if you're into photography, a good time to get nature photography is when? The answer to that question is right after it rains or during a light rain. You'll see that a lot of animals, especially birds, they come out to play, even groundhogs. But a lot of birds, they'll come out, get their drink, play around. It's not as hot, it's cooler, especially on a day like today when they don't have to rush for cover to get in before it gets too cold, because it's pleasant out. So you can learn a lot from watching animals in nature, but you can also learn a lot by watching not only what they do, but trying to find a reason why they do it. Perhaps the reason is because no one else is going to bring their dietary choices to them wherever in their nest. But another reason that you can take, another reason why they might do that is to communicate. You realize that if you communicate with someone on a regular basis, that your speech and the rate of speech, as well as the words that you have to conjure up to remain a part and an active participant in that conversation, is greater than if you don't communicate with anyone for days. You're just reading clips online, and you're removed from that muscle that enables you to communicate with people more clearly. And you'll realize this, especially if you were born in other decades, that you relied on your memory to find the phone number of someone that you wish to call. A lot of people cannot remember the phone numbers of anyone in their lives right now because it's pre-programmed into their phone. Well, that's good for expediency, but it's not good for the working out of your mental muscle and your verbal arsenal. Let's use that word. Because yes, as much as technology has helped us, many times what it will do is stop us. It hinders us from expressing ourselves. It hinders us from expressing ourselves too much, or it keeps us expressing ourselves too much, but really not to anyone in particular, just to everyone at the same time. And some of it may catch, some of it may not. But in that, you are removed from having to exercise all of your senses besides your eyes, a sense of seeing, a sense of sight, and a sense of hearing. When you're out in nature, you have to be vigilant. And some of the scariest things that you might encounter in nature, you realize might not be another animal, but will be when you hear the footsteps of other human beings who are approaching. And it will enable you to be vigilant. You might have to cross a stream that's covered in ice, and you realize that you have to get lower. Survival skills, you can't learn that by sitting behind a computer or working inside all of the time. You realize that when the light changes, your eyes gradually adjust to that light, and your pupils might contract or might dilate, and all that will help you survive in the outdoors. You realize when it gets colder, your skin, especially if you're not wearing a sweater, will start developing goosebumps, and that is also a sign that's also something to keep you focused. These are all survival mechanisms that are inside of us. You realize that animals, when they see bright colors, or whether they hear the footsteps of a human being, they start making noise. Even if you don't understand it, they do, and it's almost like they're signaling to one another that there is a presence of possible danger nearby. But it could also be a call to, well, there's food that this person might leave behind. But it's a communication that we don't understand, but they seem to understand. And the more removed you are from nature, the more removed you are from being outdoors, you realize that you really don't know much. And if you had to survive out here, you'd have to rely on things that you have not exercised in a long time. So I implore you, if you have a chance to be by a stream or be around soil, take your shoes off. Right? I just heard a noise, so my ears automatically went this way, and my sight also went that way. But at the same time, I realized that from at a distance, I could hear a freight train. And when you hear a conversation of people talking, they're walking by, you also realize, well, they're focused in their conversation, but at the same time, they're so involved in the conversation that they don't necessarily notice everything else. So, in getting to know what's out there in nature, you also realize that how aware other people are when they're around you. So, and you also give a chance for your peripheral vision to be worked out, to expand, to go to shoot out in different directions. Even when you're driving, you usually look out towards this direction, but being out in nature, I'm hearing something over here. I could tell there are two different kinds of birds. They're communicating. I also hear traffic, and I also hear water. I also hear the wind ruffling through the branches. And I also smell about two different kind of fragrances. One might be magnolia, and another one might be from another flower. I also see that the shadows bouncing from the trees are creating an effect on the floor that is of a shape that might be replicated in other areas in nature, as well as in buildings. You also see animals that have colors that you'll see on some people's hairdos. And oh, that's where they got the inspiration, you say to yourself. But if you've been sitting down for a long time, I encourage you to go outdoors. If it's outdoors is not your thing, at some point it was. Maybe it's a reason for you to get connected to your ancestors, wherever they may be from. At some point, they had to brave the outdoors, whether it was ice, whether it was warm weather, whether it was heat, whether it was sand. Every culture had its experience of being outdoors, whether living there for a long time, short periods of time, and something about nature, it always calls you back. No matter how many things that we have, advanced things, connect, disconnect, come back, recharge. I'll see you later.